Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Language Arts Gallery. We've been talking about drafting academic essays and creating a strong argument in our essay. Sometimes we need to soften the language that we use when we make our argument. And when we need to do that, we have to use language for hedging. So today we're going to take a look at how we can use language for hedging to soften our argument in our academic essay. So let's get started.
Okay, let's discuss language for hedging. So remember, we've talked repeatedly about how academic writing is based on this notion of argument. And very often we're arguing our point, and we want to do so very forcefully, very strongly. Other times we want to make a point, but perhaps we're less certain of what it is we're arguing, or perhaps the evidence that we're using in support of our argument simply isn't strong enough. We've talked a lot about writing discussion essays where we evaluate the pros and cons of a particular topic, and then we make an evaluation based on those pros and cons. Sometimes it's very clear, and sometimes it's not so clear. The pros and cons are both pretty convincing, and perhaps we're not that certain in our evaluation. In that particular instance, we'd need to use language for hedging. We also talked about writing cause and effect essays. Sometimes we're very certain that something is a strong cause of something. Sometimes the cause is not direct. It could be loosely related to something. So we might want to use language for hedging. So let's get some practice with how we can use language for hedging to soften our argument. So here I've got an example sentence. And we say the advantages outweigh the risks. So again, this author is discussing the pros and cons of a particular topic, and they're saying that the advantages outweigh the risks. They can soften this by saying the advantages may outweigh the risks. The advantages might outweigh the risks. The advantages could outweigh the risks. The advantages seem to outweigh the risks. The advantages appear to outweigh the risks. The advantages probably outweigh the risks. Or it's possible that the advantages outweigh the risks. So we can see you can really make use of modal verbs here when you're trying to soften your argument. That's a great way to hedge what it is you're trying to argue. So the stance we're taking on an issue might be impacted that might impact the language that we use for hedging. If we're arguing something very passionately, very critically, we might want to present it in a very strong way. Whereas if we're indifferent about something, or perhaps we're being objective, then we might want to soften our argument. So we looked at how language for hedging can soften an argument. Now let's look at how we can firm up or strengthen our position. So we've got that same example sentence. Let's look at how we can make it stronger. The advantages clearly outweigh the risks. The advantages certainly outweigh the risks. The advantages definitely outweigh the risks. There's little doubt that the advantages outweigh the risks. There's no doubt the advantages outweigh the risks. And it's undeniable that the advantages outweigh the risks. Okay, you did a great job. So what I'm going to do is I am going to put these questions or these statements into the video description. And I want you to choose some of these claims, and I want you to practice strengthening and softening your opinion. You can look at each of these arguments and you can think about how you feel about the issue. Or you can get extra practice and try to argue from both sides of the issue.
Okay, thank you guys again for joining us for another video where we discuss language for hedging in our academic essays. I am going to copy and paste those sentences into the description of this video so you can practice strengthening and softening your argument using language for hedging. Thanks so much,